coast, border to border on iHeartRadio today. Also, AMFM, 247.com. Tune in, iTunes, and of course you can find us on over 200 radio stations across the country and around the world. And we have got a great, great guest we are going to get to here in just a few moments. He is fantastic. And there is not enough great synonyms, I guess I could say, in the English language for our next guest. He is amazing. Mark Milovats is going to be with us here in just a few seconds. He is just fantastic. This man has the voice of an angel, and he joins us here on the telephone. And Mark is amazing. He's got the most wonderful time of the year. It's topping the AC charts across the country, and he joins us here on the telephone. Mark, welcome to the broadcast. How are you, sir?
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, James. I'm doing very well. How are you?
Pretty good, actually. So, tell me a little bit about how you got started doing this music thing, man.
Wow. Well, that would be when I was 8. My grandfather, who was bedridden, I would go after church and visit him every Sunday and have to learn a new song. He would give me 50 cents to learn a new song every week. So I thought, this is a pretty good gig. I like it, and I'm getting paid. So that's really how it started. And from there, kind of took off.
So where did it go from there?
Gee, I knew you'd ask. Well, from there, I started doing a lot of theater and musicals and some, believe it or not, Eastern European folk singing and dancing. I learned how to play the guitar and some of those stringed instruments, the balalaika, believe it or not, and just started performing more and more. And then as time went on, met some different people along the way. One of my great mentors when I was much younger was a gentleman, a sax player by the name of Boots Randolph, who did the Yakety Sax to Benny Hill theme years ago.
Awesome. That's fantastic.
And Boots had played for Elvis on all of Elvis's movies, and so kind of took me under his wing. And Boots played on Return to Sender, and on the Brenda Lee, Rocking Around the Christmas Tree. That's Boots sax. So along the way, I met a lot of great mentors. Had the opportunity to start opening for some great acts like Manilow and a gentleman by the name of Engelbert Humperdinck. And when I was really young, little Perry Como.
Wow. You have just talked to all the big names and been around all the big names.
Well, I don't know about that. I didn't mean to name drop in any way, but you asked, so that's kind of how it went. And there was always singing around my house. I mean, my mother was always singing when she was cooking, and my dad as well was a singer. While not professional, he was quite good, and so it was part of the culture, I think, that I grew up in. And I just had a liking of, believe it or not, of the horn sections. One of my favorite bands in the world is the Beach Boys, and so my sisters, who were much older than I, growing up, would listen to them, and I would listen to their harmonies, and that kind of helped me learn how to sing, believe it or not. And most recently, one of them, who is a friend now, and actually Bruce Johnston, who filled in for Brian back starting in 1965, has become a good friend, and we talk from time to time about all kinds of things, writing and everything. I've been very, very fortunate. So again, it's not to name drop, but just it's just part of the blessings that I have in culture that I've been around. So
fantastic. We have got a great guest with us today. Mark Milovats with us. He joins us live. He recently had a fantastic event out there in Pittsburgh, PA, Christmas Wonderland. Tell me about these shows that you do, because you've got some incredible stuff.
Well, that's very kind, James. That's a very interesting thing. When I was also 8, I had third-degree burns, and so this relates to the show, how it started. They grafted me back together, and fortunately, and I was, as I had grown up, one of the things I do is go through ICU units in children's hospitals and things and deliver stuffed animals and things. And we had left one, and I couldn't, you can't leave one without shedding a tear or 10. And I said to someone, I said, look, there's got to be something we can do to let these parents and kids know that they're not forgotten at Christmas. And so this show was born. I asked the late Arnie Palmer and his wife helped me start it and lent their name to it. We're in our 25th year, actually. I was 10 when I started. I'm kidding. And so it has grown to be a giant variety show of sorts. Got kind of like the Sonny and Cher, the Osmonds, or Andy Williams variety shows of the 70s. So it is, I have my 16-piece orchestra, and then I have my Santabelle Dancers, which are my answer to the Rockettes, and some phenomenal backup singers this year. Took one from Rod Stewart and a bunch of others. So it's just a big celebration. Some people call it a little bit of a dip back into nostalgia from yesteryear, and some call it a little bit of today. I call it the Andy Williams Show on speed, but it's just a little bit of fun for everyone. It's all about, and I don't mean to be cliche, but forgetting about life for a while and having fun for 2 hours. So it's grown quite a bit into a television special now. It's become in over 200 markets around the country, and just this year got added to American Forces Television, which used to be Armed Forces Television, and it's now going to be seen in 70 countries and on every ship and every military base for the United States around the world. So very honored to have that happen and have that request from them.
That is tremendous. We have got Mark Milovats with us today. Christmas in Wonderland is a tremendous event that he does, and he joins us today here on our big broadcast. So what is some of the feedback you get from folks on these different shows that you've put together?
It's really funny. Some of the feedback is really interesting. It starts all the way from kids whose parents say, I got an email recently that said my child was mesmerized for the 2-hour show, and I thought, well, they couldn't have been watching me. What were they watching? And
that's awesome.
Did you hypnotize them? So feedback like that, all the way up to any age, an older age that says, my gosh, this brings back so many memories, to we had a row of 5 16-year-olds, five rows of 16-year-olds who came to hear one of our original songs on my album, Just in Time for Christmas, which was written by a couple writers, David Zippel and David Friedman. That was their favorite song, and they just came to hear that. And it was like screaming teenagers. And I thought, wow. My keyboard player leaned over to me and said, wow, this isn't supposed to happen. I said, no, but it's kind of cool. So that's some of the feedback. Again, I'm so happy that anyone comes to see me, including my mother, which I finally found after 5 years of looking. I'm just kidding. She was, I think, I grew up with parents who weren't the parents that said how great you were. They were the parents that said, you're kind of average. You need to work on it. And recently, for the first time in my life, my mom said after a show, that was a pretty good show, son. And I thought, oh my gosh, I said, Mom, are you going to die? Because I was concerned that one of the first compliments. So, that's kind of it. As far as it's been going, we get a range of feedback, and all of it very good. It's very nice to hear. And in fact, my favorite one so far was cookies. We had a bunch of lady locks and thumbprints made for myself and the band in one of the cities. That was my favorite one so far. That's my favorite feedback because I love food.
Fantastic. We have got a great guest with us today. Mark Milovats is with us. He is amazing, and he joins us live here on our big program. So what are some of your plans that you have coming up this year into the new year?
Well, they revolve, like I said, James, around food. No, I'm just coming up. We're actually working on a television show next year that we're shooting. It's actually kind of an interview format, but a little bit different. That starts shooting in February. We are editing pieces of this year's show for next year's Christmas special. So that's coming up in the next few weeks. And then I believe, from what I understand from my manager, we're going to spend a little time in Las Vegas doing our Viva Las Vegas show into then the Christmas show out there. So we have a few things. Plus, I'm told we're doing some new music for the new year. So
fantastic.
I get told these things, James, by the way. I don't even get to pick them. Sometimes they just say, hey, by the way. So some of the new plans. So how about you?
Well, we're making it work, my friend. But as I always tell everybody, the show is not about me. They can give two craps about what I'm doing. They want to hear from the guests. Mark Milovats with us today. He joins us live. So how do we get in touch with you on social media and the websites and all these things?
Well, you can go to our website, which is at markmilovats.com, M-A-R-K, 8 more letters, M-I-L-O-V-A-T-S.com, or Facebook. I know we have a couple Facebook pages. We're on Instagram, and I think every other gram that's out there.
Yes.
So I'm pretty sure, but I always, if I can, if somebody sends me a note of any kind, I always answer it back personally. If I can, I try to take some time, as long as they don't mind a response in the middle of the night at 3 a.m. their time. I sleep a lot less these days, so that's how you get a hold of me or us. And if you have any suggestions, and we sure appreciate you talking about the most wonderful time of the year, our single this year.
Yes.
Which, of course, has been recorded by a lot of people, but we're very, very grateful that it's doing so well on the charts.
Well, you have got some amazing stuff. If people want to listen to your music, where do they find that at?
They can go to iTunes. They can go to Amazon and Spotify, and I think a bunch of other things, too. Gosh, I think CD Baby. And I think on our website there are also clips as well at markmilovats.com. So I think there's a host of places to go, but I know for sure Amazon, iTunes, and the rest has it. So we always like their feedback, too. You know, if there's something they'd like to hear, I sure would like to record it for people, because there's always songs I'm not sure of either that I've never heard of. There's some beautiful songs. Some people send me some great renditions of things like, oh my, how pretty is that? So,
well, you are amazing, my friend. Thanks for joining us today, and thanks for being out there and making things work. Thanks for being on the program. We will talk to you soon.
Thank you so much, James. Merry Christmas to you and all your listeners.
Definitely. Well, we will talk to you soon. Thank you, Mark. There he goes. Mark Milovats joins us here on our big broadcast, so we will take a brief time out. When we come back, we have got more coming up.